through signal drops, torches going flat, dogs chasing rats. Very challenging. But I'll just stay calm and just continue with part 2 here. Let's see who arrives first with the next part of this, and then I'll continue. Hello, Chardonnay. Chardonnay. A little frustrating, this internet thing, eh? I think what I must do when the funds are flowing nicely again is I think I must put some kind of big Wi-Fi repeater on the farm. Then I can walk the prayer path and do these sessions and not worry about whatever the Vodacoms and stuff are doing. Hello. While we wait for people to keep joining, are you guys learning some cool stuff? Are you getting some revelations? Are these 77 days bringing some truth and some freedom into your life? I'll tell you, it's okay to struggle with your temper. It's okay to fight through depression. You can't let those things define you. You've got to let your gifts define you and your office define you. You've got to, I don't think there's a single one of us who doesn't struggle with the cares of this world. I mean, you wage war with those things. There's a war going on inside your head continually. One of the most powerful men of God that I served, there's actually 2 of them who had severe problems with their temper. Man, I tell you, and I just didn't tell anybody. I was driving with the one, and he started punching the hooter because he was an itinerant minister, and we went to go and minister somewhere, and it was a major church. And while the guy's talking, the on-stage monitors were just feeding back the whole time. And because it's not his church, he can't say anything, and he just waits for the feedback, and nobody looks at the sound man. Sound man doesn't seem to care. And I knew, this isn't going to be good. And on the trip back, it's a 4-hour drive back from where we ministered, because he used to preach and I would sing. And he just started punching that hooter, and language came out of that man of God. and then, he was screaming and shouting and freaking out. And then he looked at me, and I said, what happens in the BMW stays in the BMW. He laughed, He said, "John, sorry about that. I should know." I said, "Sir, I'm guilty of much worse. I'll never dishonor you." I understand. Took a lot of self-control. I think I was 21 or 22 years old at the time. I was like, already, I've been in different versions of leadership. I was like, hope they gave you a lot of money to preach to that church. He said, yes. I mean, they gave me 5,000 Rand just to sing one song at that church. I just sang one song, and they gave me 5,000 Rand. So he must have got like 50,000 Rand. Yeah. Get into the habit of clicking like. Yes, click some like. Anyway, okay. So let's continue. So let's call this part 2. So the evangelist is not a shepherd. And I'd like you to write that down, because you've got to know what these people are not, so you don't have expectations of them. The evangelist is not a shepherd. The office of the evangelist, they are not a shepherd. The evangelist is not a shepherd. I repeat, the evangelist is not a shepherd. They are the tip of the spear. The evangelist, more than anybody, maybe the only person who can understand the importance of the spread of Christianity more than the evangelist might be the prophet, but the evangelist is actually doing something about it. And most of the Western colonization of planet Earth occurred from evangelists, because an evangelist's job is to wipe out the culture of demonic principalities. Now, if you want to defend your culture, you're doing it with the wrong guy, because I'm telling you now, any culture that is not Christian culture is destructive culture. You can fight with me all day. I went through all the liberal hoops that you did, where I thought we were being too cruel as Christians in our colonization of the world, but we were literally saving the world from itself. Remember, so what is my heritage? Bit of British, bit of Irish, bit of Dutch, a lot of mix in there. So as an Irish person, or, my descendants, the British, they were mostly like Celts, Saxons and Celts, who were vicious, worshipped all sorts of gods, even the odd human sacrifice, tribal, and then on the kind of, so if you're British, you'll definitely, mostly have French and Viking descendants somewhere in the mix, unless you're completely Saxon. And again, those descendants were vicious, murderous, tribal, and it was only Christianity that produced within our descendants. We were colonized ourselves before we started colonizing other cultures. And you go to any nation on earth and see how vicious they are. Go to the Amazon, look what they do. Murdering and even cannibalization, and the world without Christianity is a mess. You can come at me all day. Go to India if you want to. Go look at the Hindu and Muslim religions. Go and look at Buddhism. These are all supposedly peaceful religions and stuff, but with the exception of Buddhism, Buddhism is big time. I mean, they'll self-immolate to try and get freedom. They're driven by freedom, but there's so many destructive behaviors in there, because the priority of even the most peaceful religions out there is not to bring peace to the world. Christianity is forceful in how it brings peace to the world, because it's the tip of the spear is evangelism, evangelists. They are probably, I would say, the single-handed most epic driving force on earth that has stabilized the madness has been Christian evangelists. And the mindset required for that, it's easy to think that that person is narcissistic. It's easy to think that that person is vicious and cold, because they only care about the altar call, the conversion rate. That's all they only. An evangelist can't sleep at night unless somebody got saved. And you're asking, what are we getting saved from? Well, Jesus calls it the dog nature. The nephesh is the term. So, like, Gentiles are referred to as dogs, because dogs only care about packs and their pack, their territory, their food. So Cade, our new little collie, who is supposed to have a herding mentality, but while they're puppies, they've got no self-control, very disobedient. And all he cares about is he will fight all the other dogs to take their food. He'll take the stick if they're playing with it just because they're playing with it. So he'll leave what he's playing with to go and steal what the other dog's playing with, because he's only 7 months old. And I have to watch him to see if he will grow up to be a useful dog, or if he's going to be a problem. And if he's a problem, he loses all his rights of freedom. He has to stay on a leash. He has to stay in a gated yard. He can't be free. See, I can trust Sashi because she won't kill anything. She'll hurt things and she'll do what's in her nature. But the puppy, I've got to watch to see, can he be trained? And the evangelist has this ability to go into a place full of corrupted collie dogs, see their potential, and determine who should be leashed, locked, stopped, and who should be free. Whereas the pastors are responsible for, letting more wolves in amongst the flock than just about anybody else. That's why they need apostles and prophets among them, and lots of teachers. The pastor's job is to really just love everybody and show lots of grace and mercy. But the evangelist has got no mercy, no grace, like nothing. They only see good dog, bad dog. They only see, if I don't convert these people, their children will suffer. Now, are they always right? I don't know. I prefer to take a bomb, and solve the problem, all of the problems, future problems, everything. So if I'm if my computer gives me problems, I just redo the whole thing. I back up what I need. If I doubt that I need it, I just wipe it out, because I'm a bomb guy. I like using the sniper approach to save what I need. But now an evangelist is the same. They'll go in and they will carpet bomb. Everybody to them is saved or unsaved. So unsaved, evil. Saved, good. They don't look at the details. Like, they don't snipe the details to see, okay, is that person, do they have good people skills? Are they going to love their wives? Are they going to take care of their kids? Are they going to serve their husbands? Whatever. They don't look at that. They just say saved or unsaved. And and so they'll go into a country that would potentially kill them and say things, and they don't really care about their own lives. They only care about saved, unsaved, and that's that. Because they believe that the gospel of Jesus Christ is the power of God unto salvation. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. You must be born again to see the kingdom of heaven, and that's that. They are the tip of the sword, and God uses them to get his message of freedom out into the world. So we, in our foolishness, try to apply the same filter to every human being. And it takes a lot of faith to step into your office, because you will be judged by people who think you should be like the pastor if you're an evangelist. And as a pastor, you'll be judged by people who think you should be like the evangelist. And to step into that office means that you have to be willing to lose people who love you, because they're not going to feel loved by you. I'm not saying that you don't love them. That's how they feel. Because remember, emotions are not always true, but they're always real. They feel real. And people will feel that the evangelist doesn't love them. Because the evangelist uses people a lot, when you're around an evangelist, they just want to get the resources to do the next outreach, the next crusade, to win more souls. They are absolutely obsessed with the conversion ratio. Are you getting where I'm going? So the first evangelist recorded in the Bible, arguably, the first evangelist was Noah, right? He built an ark, and he said, listen, it's going to rain. It's going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Anybody who's not on this ark is going to die. And it's because the world is full of sin. And then he built that ark. And the whole time he was building that ark, he was preaching. And we know that he had a drinking problem. And I'm pretty sure he had to be driven by excellence because he was a carpenter. Is that funny how he's a carpenter, Jesus is a carpenter, you know? Jesus had the whole of the fivefold ministry and all the gifts. But Noah, can see by his personality profile, dude wasn't perfect. And as a matter of fact, his one son, you know, when walked in, you know, after the flood had subsided and they were chilling somewhere around Mount Ararat, around the ark there, after the waters had subsided. And Noah was probably feeling sorry for himself because he probably thought, I'm a failed evangelist. I could only save my own family. After preaching, building the ark, the world was making fun of me. Because, you know, the world was so wicked. That's, you know, Nephilim were walking around. Angels were having conjugal relations with the daughters of Eve. You know, the world, I imagine there was a dinosaur or two and these giants walking around. And, you know, the Nephilim were man-eaters. You know, they were eating people. They were cannibalistic. So I can imagine Noah must have been quite a tough and scary guy for them just to laugh at him from a distance and not actually try and interfere. But after all of that, he grows himself a grapevine and makes himself some wine and gets drunk. And one of his own sons, so you got Shem, Ham, and Japheth, one of his own sons comes into that cave and instead of covering his nakedness, laughs at him, dishonors him, and gets cursed as a result of that dishonor. You know, and the curse that comes upon them. And, you know, that's where Nimrod comes down that line of the cursed. Semiramis comes down the line of those people who are cursed, you know, like that. Just perpetual war, slavery, fatherlessness. And you ask yourself the question, why the heck would Noah, you know, curse his own son? Because Evangelist, there is only right and wrong. You know, there's only honor. So even though he is drunk himself, lying there naked, his judgment is well, you know, and certainly God is always on the side of the evangelist. Whatever an evangelist blesses is blessed, whatever they curse is cursed. It's not someone you want to mess with because their faith is hectic. Entire nations change when a truly anointed evangelist comes into that nation. When they walk into that nation, you better know it's going to get colonized. It doesn't stand a chance. An evangelist will wipe out your culture one shot because the power of God is upon them to save nations from themselves. Like I sit and I listen to people whining about colonization. Everybody colonizes everybody else. Whoever wins colonizes. That's how history works. You know, if you want to put yourself as a position of a victim and whine and complain the whole time, this happened to me, that happened to me. Everything that happened to you has happened to everybody else before. It's just the question of who did it. And if you were colonized by warring tribes, if Shaka Zulu colonized you, you lost your mom, your sisters were given to his warriors. He took hundreds of wives, same as the Vikings did. If the Vikings came in, they'll kill you, take your wife, take your daughters. You had to pray that you were being colonized by Christians. Because most of the honorable rules of war came through the Greco-Roman, the Greek-Roman heavily Judeo-Christian influenced belief systems, where they started just saying, okay, well, we're not going to kill everybody. I mean, they were taking slaves like crazy before the Roman Catholic Church was established. Like, history without Christianity is hell. And obviously there's corruption in Christianity as well, because absolute power just inevitably is going to corrupt absolutely. I mean, who having absolute power would not wipe out anybody who disagrees with them because they think they're preserving their culture, or they're preserving a belief system, or they're embarrassed, and now you've at whim can wipe something out. So there's that danger of that in any culture. But when an evangelist enters your nation, enters your house, enters your city, you better know the culture of extremist Christianity is about to swarm. Like, the evangelist is going to come, and then if they do a good job, the pastors will arrive. The pastors do a good job, the teachers arrive. The teachers do a good job, the prophets arrive. And if all of them do a great job together, the apostles are sent. And when the apostles are sent, the money starts to flow. The freedom, the financial freedom, and all those things start to flow. But none of these other offices can really do what an evangelist can do, because they don't have as high a conversion ratio. If you're still listening, say, this stuff is scary. I don't know, I'm trying to just speak plainly and not flower the stuff, and hope that the spirit of might is with you so that you can get angry at the right things and celebrate the right things. The more you understand the reality of the world, go and do some research and stop being ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if you're not a Christian, it's okay, but have a look at what Christianity has done, not just what the demonic propaganda is telling you. Because part of my depression was I started getting ashamed of Christianity, because my entire world was either politics in church or social media and the world itself attacking Christianity. I remember being at school, and there was a group of guys who would just brag about how many girls they'd slept with, and man, they would just manipulate girls as much as they could. You'd be at a party and you'd see how they're plying the girls with drink, and so I was in Graham College, and one of the things that it was a boys only school, and there would be social events with girls, and even there was something called, what was it called? It was I think on Sunday afternoons, it was like a youth thing where they got some schools together every Sunday, and it was boys and girls, and even at those events, these guys who were very good looking with their fringes, and their confidence, and they would wear white socks each day of the week for the amount of virginities that they had taken. Yeah, it is crazy, actually. So they were very proud of, outside of marriage, taking the virginity of as many girls as they could. And people like me who wanted to invite people to youth and wanted to encourage people to give their lives to Jesus, they hated. I got beaten quite severely once. Didn't punch me in the face, but what was it called? It was something, but I was like, yes, guys, that's wrong, because the way they were talking about, they got one girl so drunk that they were able to, multiple guys sexually assaulted her in a drunken state, and they were bragging about it, and I said, it's so wrong. And they started kicking me and punching me and pushing me, saying I mustn't come here with my religious stuff, So it's an inherent evil that hates righteousness. And it's the majority of the world that despises us wanting people to respect women. That's how I can immediately tell, whether there's righteousness in a religion or not, is by how much they honor and respect women. Like Paul the Apostle, taken out of context, makes Christianity now look very similar to these other demonic things. But there's no religion or belief system or even political ideology that has promoted and supported and followed more women in authority than Christianity and in the Bible. So an evangelist will really help you become proud to be a Christian. Like, you'll be bold in standing and understanding what you stand for. I love it, like, there's some guys out there, there's someone very intelligent guy, Douglas Murray, who you should watch, who really, he's been on every Islamic battlefield you can imagine as a reporter, and he's been all over the world, and he continuously warns against the Islamification of the West. Continuously. I saw a debate this morning or this afternoon where I think he was in Qatar, and he's the only person on that stage that supports the West. Everybody else was on the attack. I think there were 4 or 5 people on stage with him, and all of them were attacking him. The whole room, thousands of people, I think, in that room, just couldn't wait to have a chance at the microphone to attack him. And, I thought while I was watching that, if it was a room full of Christians, the questions would be different. But all the questions aimed at him was whataboutism. It's always colonialism and this and that and that. So they don't defend Islam. They just attack Christianity the whole time because they want to do whatever they like. They want to subjugate women. I mean, I was just thinking, the lady that he had to suffer, this insufferable, interrupting, fast-talking. Cannot imagine anybody being able to be friends with that woman or married to her or anything. She's just utterly driven by whatever demonic entity is inside her that just doesn't give you a chance to answer or speak or... and I looked at that and I was like, see, now you understand why the evangelist is so necessary. You see, you go to Saudi Arabia and you go to Dubai, the slavery is full on. The window dressing is magnificent. There'll always be the rich and the poor. But wherever there's not Christianity, you better know it's going to be hell on earth for whoever doesn't have power and money. At least the hell is slightly tolerable, and there are opportunities to climb the ladder, where there is freedom. So do you see what I'm saying here? Like this isn't just about the heaven and hell question. It's about the planet itself, and that's the power of the evangelist. The evangelist, their job is to spread the entire power of the gospel. The power of the gospel is an ideology worth fighting for. All the propaganda about the Crusades. The Crusades was the West defending itself and pushing as far as Jerusalem to stop Islamic incursion. It wasn't just on a whim. They took a lot of nonsense. The Islamic East was invading and plundering and enslaving, and just the incursion upon incursion, to a point where the West was, I'm done with this. But it's all highly prophetic, because it was prophesied that Ishmael and Isaac would wage war against each other. And if you're a Christian, then you are the spiritual offspring of Isaac. So people want to know, why are we always fighting in the Middle East? Because God has ordained that we do, so that there is understanding between the Antichrist and the Christian. Every prophecy about the Antichrist is on full display in Islam. All of it. Go through the Word of God, try to find one thing that is not Islam in reference to the Antichrist. You know that in Sharia countries, Christians have to wear signs that identify them as Christians, like the Jews had to in Nazi Germany. You pay a tax for having a Christian business or a Christian ministry, or it's not just preaching the gospel because you feel sorry for people. You are pushing and promoting the kingdom of heaven, and you are saving young girls and women from evil tribal customs. Because not just Islam, Islam is certainly the most dangerous thing on earth, but it's a peaceful religion. It's not peaceful. The Muslims are peaceful mostly, but the religion itself was created by a genocidal maniac and a pedophile. They massacred 3,000 people and started a movement out of it. But there are nations, certainly in Africa, South America, the Aztec religions, where women are nothing but dogs. I tell you, like when I see, the gays for Palestine, stuff like that, never in the history of mankind have more trees supported more axes than now. And it's the evangelists that spread the salvation for those trees, because the evangelist just sees axes and trees. You can't pasture a wolf. What are you going to do? You can't save a wolf. A wolf is a wolf. How are you going to save a wolf? The wolf and the shepherd love the sheep, but for two very different reasons. So how do we deal with evangelists? Evangelists must be funded. They just need resources, and then the world will change. And then when they move on, the pastors must move in and establish churches and pick up the broken pieces from the destruction, because there's always collateral damage when an evangelist has been through a place. Because an evangelist will hurt you to help you. Do you see the scale of what's happening on the planet? Can you... how massive the power of the gospel is, the impact on, globally. How extreme each person has to be to survive their calling, survive their office, survive their gifts. You've become so ashamed of who you are, many of you, because all you see is your weaknesses, but you don't understand that those weaknesses are often part of your strength, your core strength. And so you just back off because you're hurting too many people, or whatever it is, or you're tired of being judged, criticized. Meanwhile, the very things that are seen as a weakness of temperament are part of the design of who you are. Reverence produces violence. I want you to write it down. Reverence produces violence. Jesus, going into the temple and seeing that they had started selling things and they defiled that place of worship, became violent. So when you revere your gifts and you revere your office and you revere your assignment, you will be moved to violence, anger. And self-control is handy, but it'll move you to acts of utter anger. Like, you'll be so angry. It usually points to what your calling is. As the greatest evangelist ever to live, his name was Jesus. And some of you get very angry at what you see in the church and what you see in the world, and then you think, I can't say this, I can't do this, people are gonna rebuke me. When I left social media, I was instructed to leave social media for, I think it was 3 years or something. So I was at all. When I came back to social media, private messages from pastor friends and stuff saying, you're not going to change anything by attacking things. But then 3 or 4 months later, I saw them all in different ways. I'm telling you, sometimes when the Holy Spirit tells you to post the thing, you're going to lose friends and stuff, but you'll influence an entire spiritual ecosystem. But make sure you talk about subjects, not people. Yes, violence, and the violent take it by force. It's a very violent place. And I know we want to believe that the world is a nice place, but if we don't have people who are willing to fight for us, we're going to be defenseless. There's some of you who are kind and beautiful and pastoral. You really care about people, and you need vicious people around you who revere you enough to go to war for you. I don't know if B's listening, but there's this cute little British lady that's in our Web3 ecosystem, B, and our little saying is, if you mess with B, you mess with me, because she's not violent. She's not a violent person. She won't defend herself. She'll just huddle into a compartmentalized corner and feel the pain of it. And, like my wife often would say, why don't you defend me? And then, I would just think, you're capable of defending yourself, My wife is somewhat apostolic, Most women have a bit of a apostolic touch to them. I used to tell my wife, well, Lovey, if you started the fight, if you want me to end it, I've got to end it my way. And you don't want me in a fight, because if I enter that fight, I win. I don't care about right and wrong when I enter the fight. So I rather not fight. I only fight when I have to fight. Because I'll cheat. I'll do everything I must to win. I don't see rules when it's time to fight. Some very, very wealthy people made a light threat, and I said, do you see how I made a commitment to stay on one piece of property for 17 years? If you want to become my focus, push this further. There's some of us who love war, love it. Like I like fighting, it's nice, but I don't like what happens because of it. I like letting go. And I am the least of those kind of people. There are people out there who God has designed to fly off the handle and defend those who cannot defend themselves. There's a balance. Can you pick up what I'm putting down? The one person is a hand, the other one's the head. And just because you're not violent doesn't mean that we don't need violent people. And just because you're not loving doesn't mean that we don't need loving people. We need the pastors. We need those soft pastoral hearts. I need a disciplined wife. My wife needs a sprinting warrior hooligan for a husband. Like our ministry needs loving people and caring. You got Coach Carl, who is, anything where there's a reference to a pastor, I'll basically be describing Carl when I describe a pastor, a shepherd. The dude can't help himself. He's just no shepherded shepherdier than Carl. And shepherds get upset. They got sticks, They walk around. When the sheep is dumb, then it wants to bonk. The sheep is going to get knocked on the head by the shepherd. But the shepherd will give you food and rub your head afterwards. The evangelist will gaslight you all day. Why did you make me angry? It's your fault that I'm angry. Get out of here. And when you come back, if you don't have your tail between your legs, the evangelist will beat you until your tail is between your legs. Because they're completely purpose-driven. You're saved. Stop whining. Anyway. That Maud. Is that our Maud or a different Maud? Is that Harry's Maud or is it a different Maud? So, so I'll just end with this. So the apostle, they care about what happens to the whole city, right? So you'll see them, you'll think they're ruthless, narcissistic, all those kind of things. Prophet has given up on life. They only just do what God tells them to do. They listen all the time, but they're really just given up on life. That's any prophet you speak to. If they weren't a prophet, they'd probably be an alcoholic or drug addict or some weirdo in a mental facility somewhere. The evangelist only sees darkness and light. So you think, okay, this person's harsh, or they're unreasonable, they're responsible for advancing the kingdom of heaven. They are the tip of the spear for the colonization of the planet. Teacher cannot handle incompetence, cannot handle ignorance. They just will put you on a path, and the teacher thinks in years, thinks, okay, you need to spend the next 10 years learning how to clip your toenails properly. That's a teacher. See how different these people are. Don't make the mistake of trying to, put everybody through the same grill, through the same little filter. The gifts of the Spirit are handed out. So you might have a prophet who has the gift of prophecy or not. And an evangelist can also have the gift of prophecy and the gift of interpretation, the gift of they can have gifts. And the gifts generally shape who you are. You shape yourself around your gifts. But your full-time job is your office. So your gifts kind of define who you are, and your office defines what you do. And a lot of your personality has got to do with that office. Because you can say, how come that guy's got the gift of prophecy and he's so kind? And that guy's got the gift of prophecy and he's so horrible? Because the kind and horrible's got a lot to do with the office. So now, this is what might excite you, is you will find that you enjoy different kinds of leadership. I enjoy pastors, but I struggle to follow a pastor. It's like Coach Cole is so loving and patient, and I am a horse running out of the gate. So he will help people and love people, and I'll be like, ugh. How long are you going to put up with that person? So my favorite people to follow are evangelists, because I like war. I just want constant, the kingdom must advance, And so as a young man, when I was choosing who am I going to serve, it was people who are very, very harsh. I wasn't offended by them shouting at me and expecting things from me. I was Johnny on the spot. Yes, sir. Off I go, unoffended. I just couldn't handle all the snipping politics around them. The bigger the organizations grew, the more there was that politics around them, and I just couldn't handle it, because I didn't come to serve all the morons around the evangelist. And they're probably not morons, but for me, they were. Because so are you getting what I'm saying? You must choose if they light a fire inside you, or they inspire you to learn and grow, and choose your leaders, because it'll be an office with the gifts, and all of those gifts will have an incredible effect on you. But the way the gifts are delivered will be determined by the office, the fivefold ministry. And whoever you serve, revere them. So if you like this crazy prophetic stuff that I'm sharing, which is always like, wow, I didn't know that. Wow, that's wow. What? Then like anybody who follows our ministry or serves me in any capacity knows that I'm a big baby, and you have to take care of me, and you have to worry about what you say around me and what you bring to me, because I would probably think that I'm more or less in the office of prophet, and I think I operate by the gift of wisdom. Now, put that combo together, the prophet is usually crazy as heck, and the gift of wisdom comes with sorrow and depression, so if you aren't like very supportive and understanding and loving, you're going to find me pathetic, because you're right, I am. It's literally the qualifications for what God has designed me to do. I have to be a pathetic, whining, depressed, short-tempered, and I have to look in the mirror and realize that. And the people God puts around me, they need somebody who's a whiny babes. They wouldn't have anything to do if they were it's like, see, so God puts Coach Carl in my life, and my sisters are both very loving, and my wife is hyper supportive, so then God knows, okay, for Andrew to do his job, I need to put a lot of people who are good at changing nappies around him, because he's pathetic. And you say, don't be self-effacing, don't look down. I do not look down on myself or my office. I understand the requirements of it. And when I operated as a young man in the office of an evangelist, God surrounded me with warriors. Cat was one of them. Like people who weren't scared of a fight. They weren't scared of going into worldly places, carrying heavy speakers, handling financial pressure. So choose your champions by really like what you enjoy. If you like a good fight, then you find an evangelist. If you like long-term strategies with lots of controversy and lots of whining and complaining, then you follow a prophet. So the gifts will be there no matter who you choose to follow. The gifts of the Spirit and the office of the fivefold ministry are two different things. Like a pastor can have a lot of gifts, an evangelist can have a lot of gifts, but you choose who you're going to follow based on what you like, what do you enjoy. So if you're sitting there and you're following an evangelist and you're just getting hurt the whole time, bail, man, just go find a nice pastor. Maybe you'll end up back with the evangelist. Maybe God got you converted because that person tilled the soil, sowed the seed. Now you need some water on the seed. If you're a new convert, now go find a loving pastor. Go hang out with a loving pastor, serve them. Go and, after a while, you might find that now the pastor's too soft and sushi and stuff for you. Now you need a good fight. And you might choose an evangelist again, or you might become one. Maybe you want to help establish things. Now you go and find an apostle and you're like, okay, I want to help people with financial things. I want to help people overcome, I want to change communities financially and economically, or whatever, then usually that's an apostle that you're following there. But you choose, maybe you want a teacher. You just want to learn and teach and grow, and sometimes you'll have it all from the same person. They'll have like a gift of interpretation, a gift of discernment, even as an evangelist, and then you usually end up in a super church, because then it's all about the numbers, you see. But you get to look around and say, okay, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. I get to choose. A lot of ministers don't like this message because they want you to stay in their church, or they want you to stay with them. But that's not how Jesus works. Jesus didn't tell anybody to stay, he told them to go. So you have the freedom to go. Remember, most churches are going to be like a cult, because the definite qualification for leadership is always brokenness. Come unto me, all you're weary, heavy laden, I'll give you rest. So if someone tries to manipulate you to stay somewhere, you must realize, okay, it's just a human feeling rejection. But you need to be where you can have maximum impact, where you feel that you're receiving the most to give the most. But if you do it from a position of criticism, you've become a destructive force. Don't sit there in the church and criticize that church just because your seat's getting hot and you disagree with everything that's happening there. You don't have discernment. If you think you have discernment, listen to the message about discernment, and then you'll learn that you've got none. Remember, the word judgment in the New Testament is diagnosis. Only God the Father does judgment with a hammer. We diagnose like doctors, and then we see what needs to be fixed and healed and stuff like that. But sometimes, you need to get planted in one place and watered in another place, and then you grow to become something God can use. And always remember that God moves in decades and generations. Amen. Well, that's it. Love you all. I think Mandy said, what did you say? I think we need another 1,300 for electricity. So thank you for everybody. That we're getting closer to the goal. $1,300. So, those little 50s and 100s and 500s and stuff that's coming in, we're very appreciative. Those of you listening for the first time, our ministry really focuses on taking care of the poor and keeping kids safe on weekends, that kind of thing. Our team focuses quite heavily on raising money and resources for feeding, for food, that kind of thing. Mandy and I focus on infrastructure, so stuff like electricity and internet and fuel and whatever, so you can go to onlybelievegame.com and you can either invest. Every donation is converted into a form of investment or reward. We're making the games to pay for our vision to build a inflatable Bible stories theme park and campuses to keep girls safe, keep kids safe from trafficking and abuse. So we don't really separate what comes in from the game and what comes in from donations. So at onlybelievegame.com you can find giving options. So you can also support us there by buying playable cards in the games. Game's going to be released on the 25th of September. But yeah, so it's quite urgent. Trying to raise that 1.3. We got a message today. Again, these past few months have been quite something. Another message saying that they're coming to switch off the electricity. Our internet's already off. And you ask, why are you guys in that financial position? I don't know. I assume God's busy with something. I don't panic about stuff like that, when sometimes there's lots of money, sometimes there isn't. And I think, I suspect that these past few months, it's really been about giving people an opportunity to sow. Because, when the games are flourishing, we won't really need to ask for money so much. We'll be excited to be giving money. But so we've done projects and stuff before, get successful. But I'm assuming that it's just a tough season, A lot of people who used to be able to give aren't able to anymore. A lot of the very generous people for our ministry were in the crypto world, and crypto is currently in a winter. I think I'm not sure how long the crypto winter is going to last. It's like the fourth major bottom out in crypto. And so crypto and world markets usually go, they hit little valleys and then they shoot up higher. So, stuff like Bitcoin and stuff, Bitcoin's definitely going to go on the next peak. It's definitely going to go past $200,000. I got no doubt about that. If you just look at the rhythm of these things. But, in this season now, I think until 25th September when we release the game, we're just heavily dependent on your generosity and kindness to keep operations going. I don't panic. God's plan is always man. There's always somebody who's got just what you need for today. We've been living like this for 30 years. It's walking by faith. So, I've stopped worrying about stuff like this. I just know that God knows what he's doing. He often wants, he'll take you through a time just so that someone can enter your life who usually would not have the opportunity to. Someone can sow into your life who would usually not have the opportunity to do it. So when you go through stuff yourself, don't panic. Just you work, answer hardship with hard work, and just stay in a position of gratitude. And the testimonies will come. So thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us. And thank you for being so generous towards us. So if you want to contribute anything towards what we're up to, onlybelievegame.com. You can go there. Go and buy some stuff, man. Buy like $1,000 worth of cards. Buy $1. Yeah. Love you all. Hope you're having fun these 77 days. Chat soon. Le toodles.